接下来来看一个我们今天想讲的第三个概念，就是品牌哈。那我们再回过头先去看一下这一章。我们品牌是我们的终极的目的，所以我们靠着设计跟差异化两种工具来建构这个品牌。那设计是基础的能力，那个差异化是一种核心的策略。那为了要达成这个事情，我们现在开始要讲品牌的这一点。品牌既然是一个终极的目的，那品牌是什么？品牌是别人说我们。那品牌既然是别人说我们，我们要怎么样子去照顾这个品牌？他今天这位这个广告公司的这个非常资深的人呢，就是要告诉我们，品牌是无形的价值。什么叫做无形的价值？如果我来举一个例子，说如果这个是还没有喝过的水，我说我刚刚去超市买了这瓶水，送你，或者送任何一位同学，我说我送你。我从超市的这个货架上拿了这一瓶水，我送你。如果我刚进教室的时候是跟你说，这个我刚刚坐火车高铁的时候碰到奥巴马，然后他给我这瓶水，我给你，有没有两样？感觉有两样的举手，哪一个比较高兴？当然是奥巴马，可是同一瓶水，可他没喝过哦。不是他喝过的水，是他拿过的瓶子，我们都觉得这瓶奥巴马碰过，所以这个概念就是很有意思就是说你在做设计的时候，其实有很多这一类的东西是需要运用的。那所以这个我们来看看他是怎么说，这无形的价值是怎么讲。他在讲的是 life lesson from an admin， 意思是说他从这个生命中间得到的一个学习啦。他是什么人？已经介绍过了，奥美英国公司。那看起来他是非常有经验，所以他在告诉我们说一个广告人的领悟的时候有很多玩笑话，我想我们也来仔细听听看，他想要告诉我们什么事情。
This is my first time at TED. Normally, as an advertising man, I actually speak at TED Evil, which is TED's secret sister organization that pays all the bills. It's held every 2 years in Burma. And I particularly remember a really good speech by Kim Jong-il on how to get teens smoking again. But actually, it's suddenly come to me after years working in the business that what we create in advertising, which is intangible value, you might call it perceived value, you might call it badge value, subjective value. Intangible value of some kind gets rather a bad rap. If you think about it, if you want to live in a world in the future where there are fewer material goods, you basically have two choices. You can either live in a world which is poorer, which people in general don't like, or you can live in a world where actually intangible value constitutes a greater part of overall value. That actually intangible...
他说大家谈到无形的价值的时候，通常都有一种感觉，就是怕失去。那他说，如果我们未来的生活要用的物质应该用的比较少，其实这个大家都知道，我们上个星期也说了，绿色的科技里面最重要就是一定要少开发地球。那大家都知道要变得比较少的时候，大家就会开始紧张了，说那我就一定要变穷了，就是能够用的东西也变少了等等。可是你有两个选择，一个是你让自己变成真的是没什么东西用，另外一种东西呢，你就是用一种东西，那种东西不是真的东西，可是你觉得很享受，就是像我刚刚说的， 这一瓶是我刚刚从货架上拿下来的水，跟这一瓶是奥巴马刚刚给我的水，两个一模一样的水，你产生不同的价值，这个就是无形的价值。品牌就在无形的价值。当这个说是奥巴马拿给我的水的时候，奥巴马的价值变成跟它连在一起，奥巴马的品牌跟它连在一起，所以这个就是一个品牌的连结所增加的无形价值。他要说的意思就是说，未来的世界会有越来越多的这种无形价值所连结的这种生活形态，而不是什么东西都要去买一个大车、买一个大房子，不是这样，而是用的物质并不多，但是价值感觉很高。他举了很多的例子。
Value in many ways is a very, very fine substitute for using up labor or limited resources in the creation of things. Here's one example. This is a train which goes from London to Paris. The question was given to a bunch of engineers about 15 years ago. How do we make the journey to Paris better?
非常有趣的一个例子，这个是 Eurostar， 就是欧洲，就是从伦敦到巴黎的最快最好的火车，就是他们的高速铁路。他说，这个很多年以前，大家去思考说怎么从伦敦到巴黎的旅程如何改善，那大家想出来的是这个方式。各位来一起帮忙想一想。伦敦到巴黎花了很多钱去做这个高铁，所以其实像我们自己的高铁一样花了很多钱，所以这个很多钱以后虽然很快，所以我可以早上这个一大早起床来这里上课，我8点各位还没到我都已经到了，那个是好处。可是它有很大的经济压力，它是不是一定要这样子才能做呢？就是在整个交通系统上面，它是不是非要这样不可呢？它如果没有这个铁路，它是像以前那样开飞机，要快的人坐飞机，要慢的人可以坐火车，是不是可能呢？它就是在利用一些别的想法来提出来这个概念。那这个概念呢，就是去谈到这个在整个品牌建构上面的无形价值。意思是说，我有没有办法提供无形价值，让人家愿意来用？
And they came up with a very good engineering solution, which was to spend £6 billion building completely new tracks from London to the coast and knocking about 40 minutes off a 3.5-hour journey time.
意思就是说，他们花了60亿英镑，减少30分钟，从伦敦到巴黎。
Now, call me Mr. Picky, I'm just an ad man. But it strikes me as a slightly unimaginative way of improving a train journey, merely to make it shorter. Now, what is the hedonic opportunity cost of spending £6 billion on a load of railway tracks? Here's my naive advertising man's suggestion. What you should in fact do is employ all of the world's top male and female supermodels, pay them to walk the length of the train handing out free Chateau Petrus for the entire duration of the journey. Now, you'll still have about £3 billion left in change, and people will ask for the trains to be slowed down.
所以刚刚我们的同学，没有他的这么大胆的风趣的讲法，可是意思也是一样就是我觉得刚刚大家都是说不一定要比速度，我们去比另外一种价值。那我是鼓励各位一定要多练习这种想法。当我们的媒体、我们的这种环境、社会都一直告诉我们要快速、要怎样的时候，你其实可以有另外一种想法。刚刚有一位这个日文系的同学在问我说，有的问题，比如说我在问的时候，他觉得好像答不出来。我鼓励他说，这个他不用担心。为什么答不出来？其实答不出来的意思不是表示你脑袋不好。答不出来的意思是表示你很少做这一类的思考。像我刚刚在问的时候，这位同学他马上就讲说，应该是提供体验，而不是提供速度。显然，他可以这么快的回答是体验、竞争体验跟竞争速度是一个他曾经想过的问题。 他为什么会想过这个问题？可能不是被问过这个问题，而是他在哪里看过这个问题，或他思考过这个问题。所以我再一次跟大家说，就是我们的脑袋有很多脑神经细胞，脑神经细胞就很像电脑的这个功能一样。当我们的电脑没有开始用的时候，其实这个电脑是很笨的，它是什么东西都不能用。当我们把这个档案一个又连着一个，一个又连着一个的时候，它就很容易去找到东西。我在哪里要 search 什么东西的时候，它一下子就连过去。原因就是我们脑神经细胞里面的这些神经突出，它跟其他的细胞连在一起。当我们读了一本书，或者听了一堂这种怪怪的课，你的脑筋开始想，你会开始想说，为什么我这个答不出来？为什么我跟那位同学的想法不一样？你一点都不用紧张，因为你的脑筋的这个神经的连接跟电力的传送就开始了。你只要有被刺激，你就会开始。你一开始越想越多的时候，你的想东西的能力就越好。想东西的能力就越好，就是创意越好的意思。所以创意来自于你的脑筋不断的思考。所以绝对不要怕你的脑筋思考了以后会变笨。会变用到干掉，绝对没有这种事，因为它越接越复杂，就是你的这部机器就越有力啊。所以刚刚的这个铁路的事情，他这样子说，那我们再来看一下这个药啊，他讲得太快，所以可能你看翻译都看不懂。我大概讲一下，这个药呢，就是所谓的安慰剂，就是医生在开给人家说啊，你有人觉得说啊我很不舒服，可是他看起来是没什么病，他就开这个安慰剂给他。开了安慰剂以后，他觉得他吃了，好像好了，好像这个，所以他就是从安慰剂这个想法来想说，那在社会上有没有其他的事情是这种类似像安慰剂这种无形的价值？因为安慰剂是没有真正的药效，可是是有价值。有什么价值呢？让你觉得舒服，让你觉得健康起来，所以那个就是安慰剂的价值。好，我们来看看他怎么说。
Now, here's another naive advertising man's question again. And this shows that engineers, medical people, scientific people have an obsession with solving the problems of reality. When actually most problems, once you reach a basic level of wealth in society, most problems are actually problems of perception. So I ask you another question. What on earth's wrong with placebos? They seem fantastic to me. They cost very little to develop. They work extraordinarily well. They have no side effects, or if they do, they're imaginary, so you can safely ignore them. So I was discussing this, and I actually went to the Marginal Revolution blog by Tyler Cowen. I don't know if anybody knows it. Someone was actually suggesting you could take this concept further and actually introduce placebo education. The point is that education doesn't actually work by teaching you things. It actually works by giving you the impression that you've had a very good education, which gives you an insane sense of unwarranted self-confidence, which then makes you very, very successful in later life. So, welcome to Oxford, ladies and gentlemen.
所以理解那个意思，所以欢迎到东海，同样的道理。
Now, but actually the point of placebo education is interesting. How many problems of life can be solved actually by tinkering with perception, rather than that tedious, hard-working and messy business of actually trying to change reality? Great example from history. I've heard this attributed to several other kings, but doing a bit of historical research, it seems to be Frederick the Great. Frederick the Great of Prussia was very, very keen for the Germans to adopt the potato and to eat it, because he realized that if you had two sources of carbohydrate, wheat and potatoes, you get less price volatility in bread, and you get a far lower risk of famine, because you actually had two crops to fall back on, not one. The only problem is, potatoes, if you think about it, look pretty disgusting, and also 18th century Prussians ate very, very few vegetables. Rather like contemporary Scottish people. And so actually, he tried making it compulsory. The Prussian peasantry said, we can't even get the dogs to eat these damn things. They're absolutely disgusting, they're good for nothing. There are even records of people being executed for refusing to grow potatoes. So he tried plan B, he tried the marketing solution, which is he declared the potato as a royal vegetable and none but the royal family could consume it. And he planted it in a royal potato patch with guards who had instructions to guard over it night and day, but with secret instructions not to guard it very well. Now, 18th century peasants know there's one pretty safe rule in life, which is if something's worth guarding, it's worth stealing.
这一句就是这个无形价值的这个话哈。意思就是说，你这样子一直在保护你的那个田，那一定就是怕人家偷，怕人家偷我就想去偷，因为你有某种价值。 所以他要鼓励人家去吃 potato， 他用砍头的，大家都还是死也不吃。这句话一定常常听过。他不用砍头，他就说：“那我不给你吃，我来种我的，只有我吃。”结果大家就抢着吃。所以那个就是无形价值。人是很奇怪的东西。
Before long, there was a massive underground potato growing operation in Germany. What he'd effectively done is he'd rebranded the potato. It was an absolute masterpiece.
这个叫做 rebrand the potato， 就像刚刚我说的这一个水，我就因为我说这是奥巴马拿过的水，它就变成 rebrand， 重新这个去定义这个品牌，所以这个是一个当然这位皇帝呢，他处理 potato 的方法，他是一个非常聪明的方法。
I told this story, and a gentleman from Turkey came up to me and said, very, very good market of Frederick the Great, but not a patch on Ataturk. He said, Ataturk, rather like Nicolas Sarkozy, was very keen to discourage the wearing of the veil in Turkey to modernize it. Now, boring people would have simply banned the veil, but that would have ended up with a lot of awful kickback and a hell of a lot of resistance. Ataturk was a lateral thinker. He made it compulsory for prostitutes to wear the veil. Now, I can't verify that fully, but it doesn't matter. There's your environmental problem solved, by the way, guys. All convicted child molesters have to drive a Porsche Cayenne. What Ataturk realized actually is two very fundamental things, which is that actually, first one, all value is actually relative. All value.
下面是西班牙文的橘子水 ，orange juice， 所以它这个是让你觉得我熟悉的东西可能比较安全，所以它就是利用这个熟悉的价值，就是您刚才讲的那个比较直接的话，叫做骗观光客。意思就是说，那观光客只看得懂英文，我这边讲的是 local 的语言，那熟的来买下面的，不熟的买上面。
Perceived value. For those who don't speak Spanish, Juda Naranja is actually the Spanish. This is actually, it's not the dollar, it's actually the peso in Buenos Aires. A very clever Buenos Aires street vendors decided to practice price discrimination to the detriment of any passing gringo tourists. As an advertising man, I have to admire that. But the first thing is all value is subjective. Second point is that persuasion is often better than compulsion. These funny signs that flash your speed at you, some of the new ones on the bottom right now actually show a smiley face or a frowny face to act as a little emotional trigger.
这个东西也非常值得我们来看，意思就是说，他没有说这个禁止你要怎么样子，他说他的速限是30，然后他告诉你，我现在测速是你是28。这个方法比拍照便宜，因为拍照要留底片。所以拍照要花很多钱去拍很多可能没超速的人。这个东西它只是告诉你说你现在车速是多少，你现在车速是多少，所以它只测车速而不拍照，结果降低了这个大家超速的比例啊。所以这个是代表另外一些心理学上跟设计上面，跟就是所谓的无形的价值的这个概念。我们继续看它。
What's fascinating about these signs is they cost about 10% of the running cost of a conventional speed camera, but they prevent twice as many accidents. So the bizarre thing, which is baffling to conventional, classically trained economists, is that a weird little smiley face has a better effect on changing your behavior than the threat of £60 of fine and 3 penalty points. Tiny little behavioral economics detail. In Italy, penalty points go backwards. You start with 12 and they take them away because they found that loss aversion is a more powerful influence on people's behavior. In Britain, we tend to feel, whoa, got another 3. Not so in Italy. Another fantastic case of creating intangible value to replace actual or material value, which remember is what, after all, the environmental movement needs to be about. This again is from Prussia, from I think about 1812, 1813. The wealthy Prussians, to help in the war against the French, were encouraged to give in all their jewelry, and it was replaced with replica jewelry made of cast iron. Here's one, Goldgabe für Eisen, 1813. The interesting thing is, for 50 years hence, the highest status jewelry you could wear in Prussia wasn't made of gold or diamonds, it was made of cast iron. Because actually, never mind the actual intrinsic value of having gold jewelry, this actually had symbolic value, badge value. It said that your family had made a great sacrifice in the past. So the modern equivalent would, of course, be this.
怕大家这里没看懂，他的意思就是说，就像是普鲁士在1813年的时候，因为为了要跟法国打仗，所以请大家把黄金捐出来，珠宝捐出来。可是当你捐出来的时候，他就拿一个铸铁的东西跟你换。那这个铸铁的珠宝跟你换的时候，它只是为了奖励。可是当这种动作做了以后，50年之后，这种珠宝的换的东西呢，变成是一种非常贵重的珠宝，因为它代表了一个身份，是我有钱捐给国家。那所以同样的道理，同样那样子的一种无形的价值，当现在大家在卖这种车的时候，直接说，请你来买这种车，把你的悍马丢掉去买这个车，因为这个用了很多油，因为这个意思是说，这个车就是一个比较有贡献的身份，这个是完全是一个叫做这个无形的价值，所以买这种车的无形价值跟买这种车的无形价值，当在现在这个时代的时候，这种车会被像上个礼拜我们说的，买很贵的品牌的时候，要拿一个普通的袋子把它盖住，原因是因为不好意思，因为现在大家要讲究的不是那个，那现在大家讲究的也不是这个，而是这种，所以它才会有这个用悍马来换这个 hybrid， 就是换这个油电混合车的意思。
But actually, there is a thing, just as there are Veblen goods, where the value of the good depends on them being expensive and rare, there are opposite kind of things, where actually the value in them depends on them being ubiquitous, classless, and minimalistic.
这句话的意思是说，有很多的东西我们都认为，如果要让这个东西稀有，那它的价值要高，一定是要要让这个东西价值高，一定是它很稀有，而且卖得很贵。那但是他觉得另外一种的这个无形的价值可以从这个地方看出来。他特别举的是可口可乐的例子。
If you think about it, Shakerism was a proto-environmental movement. Adam Smith talks about 18th century America, where the prohibition against visible displays of wealth was so great, it was almost a block on the economy in New England, because even wealthy farmers could find nothing to spend their money on without incurring the displeasure of their neighbors. It's perfectly possible to create these social pressures which lead to more egalitarian societies. What's also interesting, if you look at products that have a high component of what you might call messaging value, a high component of intangible value versus their intrinsic value, they are often quite egalitarian. In terms of dress, denim is perhaps the perfect example of something which replaces material value with symbolic value. Coca-Cola, a bunch of you may be a load of pinkos and you may not like the Coca-Cola company, but it's worth remembering Andy Warhol's point about Coke, where what Warhol said about Coke is, he said, what I really like about Coca-Cola is the President of the United States can't get a better Coke than the bum on the corner of the street. Now that is actually, when you think about it, we take it for granted, it's actually a remarkable achievement to produce something that's that democratic. Now, we basically have to change our view slightly. There's a basic view that real value involves making things, it involves labor, it involves engineering, it involves limited raw materials. And that what we add on top is kind of false, it's a fake version. And then there's a reason for sort of suspicion and uncertainty about it. I mean, it patently veers towards propaganda. However, what we do have now is a much more variegated media ecosystem in which to kind of create this kind of value. And it's much fairer. When I grew up, this is basically the media environment of my childhood as translated into food. You had a monopoly supplier. On the left, you have Rupert Murdoch or the BBC. And on your right, you have a dependent public, which is pathetically grateful for anything you give it. Nowadays, the user is actually involved. This is actually what's called, in digital world, user-generated content, although it's called agriculture in the world of food. This is actually called a mashup, where you take content that someone else has produced and you do something new with it. In the world of food, we call it cooking. This is Food 2.0, which is food you produce for the purpose of sharing it with other people. This is mobile food. British are very good at that. Fish and chips and newspaper, the Cornish pasty, the pie, the sandwich. We invented the whole lot of them. We're not very good at food in general, but Italians do great food, but it's not very portable, generally. I only later discovered that the Earl of Sandwich didn't invent the sandwich, he actually invented the toasty, but then the Earl of Toasty would be a ridiculous name, frankly. Finally, we have contextual communication. Now, the reason I show Pernod, it's only one example. Every country has a contextual alcoholic drink. In France, it's Pernod. It tastes great within the borders of that country, but absolute shite if you take it anywhere else. Unicum in Hungary, for example. The Greeks have actually managed to produce something called Retsina, which even tastes shite when you're in Greece. But so much communication now is contextual that the capacity for actually nudging people, for giving them better information. B.J. Fogg at the University of Stanford makes the point that actually the mobile phone he's invented the phrase persuasive technologies. He believes the mobile phone, by being location-specific, contextual, timely, and immediate, is simply the greatest persuasive technology device ever invented. Now, if we have all these tools at our disposal, we simply have to ask the question, and Thaler and Sunstein have, of how we can use these more intelligently. I'll give you one example. If you had a large red button of this kind on the wall of your home, and every time you pressed it, it saved $50 for you, or put $50 into your pension, you would save a lot more. The reason is that the interface fundamentally determines the behavior. Okay? Now, marketing has done a very, very good job of creating opportunities for impulse buying.
他刚刚的那句话，不晓得各位理解了没有？意思就是说，设计界面基本上会影响了我们决定的行为。举例来说，他刚刚说，如果我们的墙上就有一个红色的按钮这么大，我们每按一下，在家里每按一下，它就会从我们的银行的钱里面把它转一个到这个基金里面去，不用就转到基金里面去。所以我们看一下就知道，说我按一下我就有50块到基金，所以我常常去按，我就存比较多的钱在基金里面。可是如果没有这个界面，我们会想到我们要去存钱，可是我们不会有行为，不会有行动。所以所有的设计是要让人家促成行动，那个行动是很重要的。所以设计界面决定了行为，这个从他刚刚的那个圆的东西，就是说我按一下我就会去存钱。那通常我们都是广告都是鼓励人家去花钱嘛，那但是现在因为金融海啸之后，我们开始必须要去思考怎么样子，连广告都要让人家决定去省钱，而且这种广告还要配合着整个设计里头去让它的设计界面可以决定人的行为，这一点是重要的概念，而且这些都是虚的，因为它不是实际上拿来跟你收钱啊等等，所以这个是很重要的一个想法。
We've never created the opportunity for impulse saving. If you did this, more people would save more. It's simply a question of changing the interface by which people make decisions, and the very nature of the decisions changes. Obviously, I don't want people to do this, because as an advertising man, I tend to regard saving as just consumerism needlessly postponed. But if anybody did want to do that, that's the kind of thing we need to be thinking about, actually. Fundamental opportunities to change human behavior. Now, I've got an example here from Canada. There was a young intern at Ogilvy, Canada, called Hunter Somerville, who was working in improv in Toronto and got a part-time job in advertising, and was given the job of advertising Shreddies. Now, this is the most perfect case of creating intangible, added value without changing the product in the slightest. Shreddies is a strange, square, whole-grain cereal, only available in New Zealand, Canada, and Britain. It's Kraft's peculiar way of rewarding loyalty to the crown. In working out how you could relaunch Shreddies, he came up with this.
Shreddies is supposed to be square.
Have any of these diamond shapes got a...
New Diamond Shreddies cereal. Same 100% whole grain wheat in a delicious diamond shape.
Now, I'm not sure this is the most perfect example of intangible value creation. All it requires is photons, neurons, and a great idea to create this thing. And I have to say, it's a work of genius, but naturally, you can't do this kind of thing without a little bit of market research.
So Shreddies is actually introducing a new product, which is something very exciting for them. So they're introducing new Diamond Shreddies. Which is interesting. So I just want you to so I just want to get your first impressions when you see that and you see the diamond shredding box there.
Are they square?
I'm a little bit confused.
They look like squares to me.
It's all in the appearance, but it's kind of like thinking about a 6 or a 9, like a 6. You flip it over, it looks like a 9, but a 6 is very different from a 9. And M and a W, exactly.
Actually, when you don't see, like when I sat there, I think you just would like turn on its end, but when you see it like that, it's more interesting looking.
Just try both of them. Take a square one there first.
First one.
The first one.
Now, naturally, actually, debate raged. There were conservative elements in Canada, unsurprisingly, who actually resented this intrusion. So eventually the manufacturers actually arrived at a compromise, which was the combo pack. Now, if you think it's funny, bear in mind there's an organization called the American Institute of Wine Economics, which actually does extensive research into perception of things and discovers that except for among perhaps 5 or 10% of the most knowledgeable people, there is no correlation between quality and enjoyment in wine, except when you tell the people how expensive it is, in which case they tend to enjoy the more expensive stuff more. So drink your wine blind in future. But this is both hysterically funny, but I think an important philosophical point, which is going forward, we need more of this kind of value. We need actually spend more time appreciating what already exists and less time agonizing over what else we can do. 2 quotations to more or less end with. One of them is poetry is when you make new things familiar and familiar things new, which isn't a bad definition of what our job is.
刚刚的那个拿同一块饼干，生产线都不需要改，就去弄这样子45度转一下。确实是一个非常聪明的想法，所以他用了这句话说：诗就是你把新东西变得让大家熟悉，然后让大家熟悉的东西变成新的啊。所以如果用这样的想法来做，我们在创造新的东西，在设计新的东西的时候，其实我们一定要记得刚刚的那个饼干的例子，我们不一定要去把一个东西新的做出来。那刚刚我在跟大家讨论这个台铁的时候，大家都有这个对的方向的思考。那我们鼓励大家更去思考，说不定你就会产生很多的例子，是不要做大的改变，但是事实上你已经用了无形的价值去做了一种让这个老东西让大家觉得是新了，但是让新东西又因为大家觉得很熟悉，所以也卖得出去。所以这个就是他在整个这句话里面很重要的一个哲学思考，就是太新的东西大家一定不想买，所以你新的东西要让大家觉得说哦，这个跟老东西差不多。那老东西呢，一定要说，它现在已经变成新样子，所以这样子才会开始不断的去让大家觉得有一个无形的价值产生。
Help people appreciate what is unfamiliar, but also to gain a greater appreciation and place a far higher value on those things which are already existing. There's some evidence, by the way, that things like social networking help do that, because they help people share news. They give badge value to everyday little trivial activities, so they actually reduce the need for actually expending great money on display and increase the kind of third-party enjoyment you can get from the smallest, simplest things in life, which is attractive. The second one is the second G.K. Chesterton quote of the session, which is we're perishing for want of wonder, not for want of wonders.
这句话是说，我们会毁灭是因为我们缺少好奇心。Wonder 是好奇心 ，want 缺少好奇心。可是呢，我们不会因为我们缺少了 wonders。就是这个奇迹，结果我们就会毁灭。所以 wonders 是奇迹的意思啊，所以这个有一点点是英文的绕口令。不过大部分的人都是祈求奇迹，其实我们只要好奇就好了。所以刚刚的那位日文系的同学，我鼓励你，你要不断的继续的好奇， 然后你对于你不懂的东西也要很好奇。你越能够对你不懂的东西好奇，你的脑筋就在背后不断的做连结，那种连结在一段时间以后就会对你很有用。
Which I think for anybody involved in technology is perfectly true. And a final thing, when you place a value on things like health, love, sex, and other things, and learn to place a material value on what you've previously discounted for being merely untangible, a thing not seen, you realize you're much, much wealthier than you ever imagined. So thank you very much indeed.
好，我们来跟各位同学讨论一下刚刚这位他讲的概念。从这位广告的这个先进的说法里面，你学到什么？